Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxey.
What's up, and welcome to another edition of The Boxing Breakdown. I am your host, Mark Roxey, and I am here with my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt. Harold, what's up?
What's up, man? How you doing, man? Beautiful evening.
It is a beautiful evening indeed, and I am really happy to be with you, and I'm happy to have all of you tuning in tonight. If you are tuning in on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, thank you for being with us. And if you are tuning in on YouTube, welcome. Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe down below, and don't forget to smash that notification button there too. This way, whenever we go live, you know that we're live and you can be with us. And it's awesome that you're here. We got a lot to talk about, actually. You know, we're looking at, hopefully this evening we will have a very, very special guest, Mr. Teofimo Lopez Sr. Once again on the program, live in the flesh. And, Teofimo Sr. has not really done too many interviews. It's been a bunch of months. I would say he's by and large been sequestered from the boxing media and the general media, just not really interested in talking too much. And he said, maybe I'll jump on tonight. And so we're anticipating that he'll be with us tonight. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about Teofimo and what's coming next for him, what the next fight is, which is very exciting news. But I'm going to let Teofimo Sr., if he joins us, break that news. Yes. And then, we're going to catch up on a lot of things. His recent Teofimo Jr.'s recent fight with Josh Taylor and the outstanding performance there. His retirement and his return to boxing and all that surrounds all of that good stuff. So we've got lots to talk about on the program today. But Harold, yes. Have you been following what Teofimo's been up to since he's been, out of retirement?
Well, I'm just glad that he didn't truly retire. I mean, you can say, I'm going to retire and tell the world you're going to retire. But until you send a letter to the sanctioning body saying that you are giving up your belt and you're retiring, as far as the sanctioning body is concerned, you are still their champion and subject to their rules of fighting the contender, the first #1 contender. Yeah. But he never gave that up or what have you. But the media, and the fans say, oh, he's retiring, this, that, and the other. And most of us didn't know that, think that he would. He did not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And interestingly enough, Teofimo, I believe his record is like 19-1, right? Is that correct? Yeah, 19-1. He's
coming off his best performance as a pro. Oh. He's had excellent performances beforehand.
Yeah. What about that performance? What about that who did he fight? Tell the listeners.
Josh Taylor. It was beautiful. Beautiful work. I mean, he really just showed every aspect that we knew he had. And it's just amazing that he was able to just show us every aspect. And Josh Taylor was there to fight. Yeah. He just was overwhelmed by such a fabulous talent. And to think that boy was taught by his father from YouTube.
Yeah. Well.
That's phenomenal. That's basics. That's just having a talented son and having a father able to translate such a medium into a teaching mode that the boy picked all that up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing, that first of all, it's not an easy thing to train. We've talked about this before. We've talked about it with Teofimo on the program, the complexities of training your own son in any sport, let alone boxing. And, I think that he does a phenomenal job. It's not an easy thing to navigate, for sure. And, Teofimo right now, I think he's 26 years old. He's an orthodox fighter, for those of you that don't know. I can't imagine that if you're listening to the Boxing Breakdown, you don't know who Teofimo Lopez is. But just in case you don't know, the guy is, a very highly touted, multiple world champion, and just phenomenal. I think his record currently stands, as I said. Yeah, he's 19-1. He's got no draws. 19 of his big wins have come by stoppage. 13 of his opponents have been, decimated. So his current knockout ratio, I think, is just about 70%. The guy, he's got power in his hands. And his only defeat came by way of, a decision loss to George Kambosos in Australia, I believe it was. And I'm sure he wants to avenge that. And when I was talking to Teofimo Sr. this morning, he was really talking about, the torn, he had a couple of tears in
He did.
he was having a hard time breathing. And, there wasn't a lot that anybody really had to say about that, except that, they kind of pointed to that was an excuse for the loss, when in fact it really was a legitimate, medical condition that Teofimo was suffering. And so, I wonder what your thoughts are about that, Harold.
Well, obviously, he fought well in that fight. And we discussed this earlier on our podcast. He really beat Kambosos up physically the last 4 rounds. He really tried to hurt him very badly.
Yeah.
And after the fight was over, Kambosos was the one who had the huge recovery from the beating he took. However, Lopez had a medical situation going on with the breathing and this and that and the other, and he shouldn't have been there in the first place, according to me, according to everyone. Imagine if he was totally healthy, had everything, he would have, put on such a great performance. He still did such a great job. So if he needs to rectify that by going back with this guy, please do so. But I'm just glad he's 100% healthy, but he still gave us a great performance in that loss to Kambosos. And if you look at that last 5 rounds, you thought he won the fight because he really put it on Kambosos. Kambosos was just trying to keep his lead and not get knocked out the last 4 or 5 rounds, in my opinion.
Right. Well, we could go back and talk about the Kambosos fight. If Teofimo, if Senior joins us, we will in fact do that. I'm sure he's got a lot to say about that, because he did this morning when we talked, and I know he's got a lot to say about that. No, he does, and he did. And when he comes on, y'all are gonna hear it. The world's gonna hear it, because he's gonna go. He's gonna let you know.
I told everybody.
Yeah,
that's his moniker.
That's his moniker. And the thing about that, Harold, is that when Teofimo Sr. does say things, it's eerie, but it happens.
It does.
It happens. We can go back to, how far do we have to go back?
Yes.
When he comes out and he's so ostentatious about it. He's so out there. He's so flamboyant with his comments, and so confident in his comments. And you just want to go, how do you know that? You don't know that's going to happen, right? But he does.
And it happens.
He does.
Every time. My gosh. The John Smith thing was one thing, saying that it was going to be a virtuoso a performance. And it was. It was just textbook type of stuff. Kids should be following how to fight in that manner, because Josh Taylor had his A game. He was on his A game.
Yeah.
He was not
in
a negative situation.
Harold, you're right. he was not, Josh Taylor came to fight. Josh Taylor was in the best shape of his life for that fight. It's not like he came hurt or he came out of shape or, he was ready to go. He was a game opponent. That was a real fight. Teofimo came in there. And I mean, he just did an amazing job. That fight took place on June 10th, I think it was, 2023, just this past year, right?
Great fight.
Yeah, it was in New York City. And he won by, and Teofimo Lopez Jr. won by 12-round decision. Just an amazing, amazing performance. If you haven't seen that fight, go back and watch it because, like Harold mentioned, there were so many things about the fight that really brought out different qualities for Teofimo that the fans hadn't really seen or been aware of because early on in the fights, in most of Teofimo Lopez's fights, he came out and just destroyed people. Like his first fight was against a guy named Ishawa Cincareros, and he got it was a TKO. Then he fought Francisco Medel, and he got a TKO. Then he fought Daniel Bastin, he got a TKO. Jorge Luis Munguia, he got a TKO. Ronald Rivas, TKO. Christian Santabales, that was a UD, 6 of 6. That was when he was fighting 6-rounders. Okay, let's go and step up once he starts getting into these 10-round fights. He fights Mason Menard. He TKOs Mason Menard in the first round in a
tough fight.
Devastating knockout. I remember that knockout thinking, who the hell
is this guy?
What did he just hit this kid with, right? But yeah, that was in 2018. Right. So I think he's been a pro for 7 years now. He's been a professional. And yeah, I mean, he fought Diego Magdaleno. He KO'd him in the 7th round, 7 of 10. I mean, it goes on and on. Mashiyoshi Nakatani, he took him out.
That was a good fight.
That was a tough fight well, let me say this. According to the naysayers, that was one of those fights where Teofimo could have produced a better performance than he did. And even Teofimo said, I could have done a lot better in that fight. But he got a 12-round decision. The scores were they were lopsided. It was 118 to 110, 119 to 109, and 118 to 110. But, they still felt that, he should have smoked Nakatani. That was at MGM. Yeah, go ahead.
Those Japanese fighters, they just have a really tough exterior. Shakur Stevenson had problems. He knocked the guy out, but the ref had to stop him. He was going to keep coming. I know Dan Raphael, the prominent boxing writer.
Yeah.
His favorite fighters of all time he loves to watch is the Japanese fighters.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they have a tenacity that no one else really has.
Yeah.
And when an American fighter fights a Japanese fighter, you really have to understand that you got to kill that guy. And, and he has a spiritual thing coming after you.
Right.
So whenever you beat a Japanese fighter, you have really stood in the fire.
Yeah. Well, this is, you're 100% right. I mean, fighters that are coming from Japan are definitely not coming to lay down. And certainly when he faced Nakatani, that's exactly what happened. But Teofimo did what he had to do to win that fight. And then the next fight was even a harder fight. It was even a tougher fight. And he was going up against, a game opponent, really solid fighter. I believe it was for the IBF world lightweight title. And he fought Richard Comey. And that fight was an amazing fight. And he stopped Richard Comey in the second round of 12. I thought this was going to be a Teofimo Lopez Sr. interview tonight. But what it's ending up being, Harold, is it's ending up being a retrospect on Teofimo Lopez's career here. So I love it. I love it because, I love to just go back and look at, because all this is memories for me. I love going back and looking at what this guy did, what Teofimo Lopez did, to get to where he is. And what occurs to me, right, is he fights Richard Comey. Yeah. He's stepping up. He's like, they're putting him at the top. They're putting him at the top of the game, fighting game opponents. Then he comes up against Vasily Lomenchencko right after Richard Comey. And guess what he does? He wins.
He wins.
He gets the IBF, WBA, and the WBA world titles.
And the
Ring
Magazine. And there was something kind of in recess type.
Yeah.
For the other sanctioning body.
In recess, yeah, something like that.
Whatever that was, but he still got it. To me, the Comey fight, he didn't allow Comey to even get into any kind of rhythm or anything.
Right.
First exchange, Comey got caught. That was that. Yeah. Comey didn't even get a chance to even see how his style even matched up against Lopez because he got hit so soon, Yeah. And I believe if they fight again, he'll hit him soon again.
Right. Well, look, he's fighting a guy. When he fights Vasily Lomenchencko, he's fighting one of the most technically proficient fighters in the world in the history of the sport, I must say. A fighter who I really do admire greatly for his technical skills, his angles, his movement, the counter punching, his rhythm and timing are just impeccable. They're impeccable. They're amazing. And so Vasily Lomenchencko is a great fighter, but to see Teofimo compete at that level and not only compete, but win a unanimous decision, 12 rounds with a guy who's got, I don't even know how many amateur fights he's had, but
400, something crazy like that.
Something that's like unprecedented. Yes. Unprecedented, right? So he's fighting a guy who's got a resume that's amazing in the amateurs and a pretty good resume as a professional as he approached that fight. He comes off of that fight and then he goes in the ring with George Kambosos, who's 19-0 at the time. And Teofimo gets a split decision loss. It goes the distance, 12 rounds. It was tough. I mean, the scores were 112 to 115, 111 to 115, and 114 to 113. So when I was talking to Teofimo Sr. this morning, we were talking about it, and what he was, alluding to was the idea that, there was some physical problems for Teofimo Lopez Jr. And I'll let him, I rather him, speak about that himself rather than me just, because it sounds a little like hearsay, but definitely he had two separate tears that Teofimo Sr. spoke about, and one of them affected Teofimo's breathing, and so anyway he comes up with this loss that this blemish on his otherwise outstanding record. The
Heisman things he was doing, all of that.
Then he comes back after that loss and he fights Pedro Campa, excuse me. And Campa's 34-1 with one draw. And he stops him again. Now he's back on this stopping streak, right? He stops him again, 7-10. And then he gets a win, 10-10 against Sandor Martin. Another tough.
That was a good fight too.
Yo, that was a step-up fight, if ever. And he's fighting a guy who is like I said, at this, a lot of times when these guys get to the top, they're not fighting these types of fighters. That was a good fight for him. And definitely, he got the WBA International Super Lightweight title off of that. And, I think Lopez went down in that fight though, right?
He did.
He went down.
And that was a large part of his persona, how he able to go down, get up, and really fight well. So we saw a lot out of him in this fight.
So I'm saying he's like what most people don't realize is that they're putting him in real situations in shark-infested waters. As a pro, he's coming off the Kambosos fight. He's coming off of the Comey fight, the Nakatani fight, the Vasily Lomenchencko fight. This guy's working his way into a very, very good resume and an argument for, I don't know where it's going to go next. I really don't. But what I do know is that I'm seeing glimmers of the old Teofimo Lopez when he was an amateur. And that to me is what has me so intrigued by what he's doing. And what were those revelations that Coach, Senior had in camp that said, wait a minute, let's get back to doing what we do.
Basics.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that they did that. And I love that's kind of where he's at, because he is a very, very skillful boxer. And he doesn't, when you're in the pros, it's all about the damage you're going to do, right? Everybody gets damage minded. But the fact is that he has all these other skills that he, hasn't really pulled out of his pocket to use up until now. And so now it's kind of bizarre because you go in with a Josh Taylor after the Sander Martin fight, he steps up and he fights Josh Taylor 19-0.
And schools him.
For 12 rounds. Schools him. That's for the WBA World Super Lightweight title. After that fight is over, Teofimo Lopez says, sayonara.
Well, there's a lot more to that, as you know, Mark. He was in court over his child. The mother of his child wanted to withhold him. However that goes, I don't know exactly what it is. But he had to go to court to see if he could work that out.
Yeah.
So that would work for him. And at the time, retirement was the best narrative to have, as he was going to, concentrate on that. But as of now, I've heard that he does have his son. Everything is good, and he wants to move forward and make the big fights.
Oh yeah, he's got his son, and I think that's great. I saw a little post on Teo's site. And it had all three on his Instagram, and it had all three of the, senior, junior, and then his son. And they were all together, like the Three Musketeers. I thought it was a great photo, to see all three of them. It made me really, chuckle inside, because that's what it's all about right there.
You had to drop some paper on her to get that kid back, because she had the rights, because she's the mother and all that. So however that works in court, it went in his favor, because it usually doesn't.
Yeah, well, we don't know. We don't know what happened in court. We don't know what that was about. But what we know...
We don't. I'm just saying, as far as the world's concerned, usually, the mother prevails because she's the mother.
Yeah, well,
that kind of thing.
This is true. But, I believe she might be a flight attendant, too. So that's going to...
She was at one time. She's been retired since she married him.
Oh, really? You know more than me, bro. You know more than me.
Why would she ever fly again? She's doing...
Fly me to the moon. Make me sing among the stars.
Voice, you're in tune. But she retired from that job. Trust. She will never have to go back to that. She had the kid. That means the kid alone, whatever he has to pay for child support, whatever, is 10 times worth what she was making as a flight attendant. So she's doing quite well.
Right. So
it'd be nice if they got back together. No, I don't know what's going on, but I know he was very happy with her. I know that. I know that.
Well, check this out. Okay. What do you think about Teofimo's next opponent? Who do you think his next opponent's going to be?
Well, the rumor is Garcia, right? Now, of course, that's a match made in heaven. You've got two vocal, polarizing people who are just running their mouth. And you got the daddy you got to get to throw in there. And whoever Ryan happens to use as his mouthpiece, we never really know who it is because he doesn't promote one as such. The trainer has been, removed, and Derek James just doesn't do it like that. So someone's got to step up and match the back and forth. But great fight. I mean, great fight. I see Ryan. Oh, that's just a good fight. That's just a good matchup fight.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about that fight because
So
I don't see that fight working out for Ryan Garcia. Do you?
well, I don't want to be all in the mix, but you look at the past two type of things, and you see how Ryan was moved around a little bit with Tank. You know, he's got hit on the button, but he got moved around a little bit. Lopez is a little more vicious. Tank waits till he gets you, and then he's going to hit you, and he's going to take you out. And he, because that's just a progression of things. But Lopez is vicious.
Yeah,
he wants to hurt you. He wants to hurt you at different times, just to see you kind of hurt. So he's a vicious fighter. To me, he's vicious. Tank's not vicious like that, but he is. He wants to hurt you. Tank just want to take you out and get moving.
Yeah.
Move to the next thing.
Well, they both are fast. The one thing about both of these fighters is that they're both very, very quick fighters. I think that if I had to look at the defense of each,
it's a tough fight.
Yeah, if I had to look at the defense solely, I would definitely have to go for Teofimo Lopez having a more proficient defense. Per the last fight with Tank, I just didn't see the defense in Ryan Garcia like he should have. So I think that Teofimo is a far more superior defensive fighter. However,
what?
I was just gonna say that little short loop, that little hook that Ryan Garcia throws, that little short, quick little hook.
Yeah.
That connects. I mean, that could put him down, right? What do you think? Think that could put Teofimo down?
Well,
if Senior were on here right now, he would be pissed. He'd be like, "What are you talking about?" Like, right?
Yeah. Well, we know Lopez does go straight back. We know this. He's talented every other way. Not saying this is not talented, but he does go straight back. He simply does. And when you go straight back with any fighter who has a left hook, you can possibly get hit with it. It may not knock him out, but it's going to knock him off his axis. It is going to knock him down.
Mm-hmm.
He may jump right up, but just because his chin is there, he's going back. It's a left hook coming from the short side. Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So listen, that would be a great fight. I would really enjoy that fight. I think Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez would be a great must-see TV fight. I think it'll be a big fight too. I think they both have stories to tell, and they're both moving in the same direction, which is upward, even though they've both suffered a loss. Right. So I like that fight. I like the fight. I think it's an entertaining fight. I think it would be a box office draw. I think you could sell a lot of tickets to that fight, a lot of pay-per-views to that fight. And, the two gentlemen will make out very, very well for that fight. Come out, either side they come out, although I already made my prediction.
But Ryan loses. But he can afford, not saying he can afford, but he can take another loss and get 5 more big fights. And he may win this next one, but he's not going to get this one just only because he doesn't have enough. He's not versatile enough.
Well,
I hope you agree with that, Mark. He's not versatile enough to handle what Lopez is going to do.
No, I don't see that he has I don't see that he has the ring acumen to handle the different looks, the different him. Yeah, I think Teofimo has a lot of looks, a lot of adjustments he can make within the course of a fight.
Yeah,
he can give you a lot of problems with just the adjustments that the team could make in the course of a 12-round fight. I don't know, man.
And that's from him emulating so many different fighters. His father put so many different styles in front of him. Look at this guy, look at this guy, look at this guy. All right, and he actually absorbed these styles, and he's able to regurgitate them anytime he needs to. So most, just from my understanding, you have 1 or 2 styles or whatever, your offense, your defense, or whatever, and that you go to, and that's your signature thing. For me, he has at least five distinct styles that are very clear and precise, and they don't morph into each other.
Yeah. But not only that, the one thing I can tell you from Teofimo is a very, very smart fighter. He's a very, very cerebral fighter too. He's not, it's not all brawn, there's a lot of intelligence there. And as I said, we said this at the top of the program, Senior predicts things. He analyzes things. He looks at things in a very, very unique way. And what he comes up with, his game plans are very, very well put together. I will tell you that. You fight him, and that this is a conversation that dovetails right into the next topic, which is talking about Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney. Because that's another fight, right?
That's a big talker right there.
That's a big fight.
The two fathers?
Oh, that first of all, that would be a great fight. I would love to see that fight. I know it's going to get made. It's not going to get made for anything under. Yeah, I'm just going to quote this because Senior did say he wanted $20 million for this fight.
2-0.
Yeah.
20.
20, $20 million. Has anybody ever, how long do you think it would take you to count $20 million if they were all in singles?
I would have to take lunch.
$20 million. Can you imagine if each side got $20 million? They both would be amenable, I believe, to $20 million. And I was listening to an interview, right? And the gentleman said, well, $20 million, that's for like heavyweight. That's what heavyweights get. And Bill Haney was like, yeah, because Devin Haney's a damn heavyweight of a fighter. Yeah. So 20 million, gosh, even if they settled for 15, that would still be a coup. $15 million for 30 minutes in the ring. Come on, man. Let's go.
I got to give it to Haney, though, man. Out of all this, he positioned himself to get in the ring with all of these guys.
Yeah.
And he may not prevail,
Yeah.
against any of them. But he's the one they need because he, is a cash cow, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look.
And I said he may not prevail. That's it. I don't want to get Bill on me.
I know.
Because I judged Haney. I told you that when he was coming up.
Yeah.
That was a great experience.
Yeah, I know. This is another father and son duo. They're doing amazing things, and they're great fighters. We haven't done an entire expose. We haven't done
that sounds like some kind of 60-minute type show.
Yeah, we haven't.
Tick.
All right.
60 minutes expose of Lopez.
We have.
But the father is a live wire, and I would have loved to see him on this podcast. But he's been on twice before, and he'll come on again if he misses it tonight. No problem.
Yeah.
He's a guest and always a welcome guest on our show.
Yeah, and
he gives us sound bites that he hasn't given anyone else.
Usually, Senior, if you're listening, if you weren't able to get on tonight, I know you said you were coming, you didn't come. It's 10:30. It's okay. We know how you roll, bro. Look, the last time we did a podcast, do you remember when we had Teofimo Lopez Sr. on? And
wow,
it was a long time ago. I don't know. Was it a year ago, 2 years ago?
Over a year ago. I remember he was very, he had a lot to say that time. And, it was really interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a circus. Go back and listen to that podcast. It's so funny to hear because at the time we were all working out like the podcast technology sound bite and how it all works, right? And then Teofimo Sr. is on the move. He's coming out of the gym super late at night on his way to try to get home. And it was just like, if you want to see the day in the life of Teofimo Lopez Sr., go listen to that podcast because he was crazy. He was like on the move and he was being so gracious, trying to hold a conversation with us, but he was all over the place. But great. Whenever you have Teofimo Sr. on the broadcast, you know it's going to be fireworks. And he's coming, but it'll usually take like 1 or 2 times for us to get him on the podcast.
I told everybody.
No, I told everybody I was going to be on the boxing breakdown, but y'all know I got too many things to do. Where you at? I don't know.
Well, we'll catch up with him eventually. He knows he got a friend in us.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably why he was comfortable. Oh, well, not comfortable. He has something he had to do, but yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, going forward with, I always would like to know if I asked the father, would he be open to training anybody else? I mean, obviously, it's hard to train your son because of the, that's your blood or whatever.
Didn't you ask him? Didn't you ask him that once before?
And he said, I only train one person.
Yeah.
I don't need to train anybody else, what have you. But anytime you can take someone who doesn't have that kind of amateur background or whatever, and just actually get them on the fundamentals through, another medium as is YouTube, you know how to teach. I mean, there's no way. I mean, he may be rambunctious or flashy or even arrogant to a point, but he obviously knows how to teach. He obviously knows how to teach. So I think he could teach someone else if they want to buy into him and he wants to do it, because I think he's a pretty good trainer in that regard.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I agree with you for sure. Hey, listen, we're just about ready to round out this program, but I did want to. No. I know. I did want to say to you, Harold, are you excited? We're like 8 days away from the Benavides and Andrade fight.
Yes. And you know who I picked?
No, but
have you forgotten who I picked? Really?
You picked. You picked Boo Boo, I believe.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
You picked Boo Boo to win the fight. So,
yes, I did. I did.
And why? Tell us why.
I was with him in a fight in February in DC.
Yeah.
And he came in, and I had just taken the fighter out, and I was coming in to take another fighter out before his fight, or 2 fights before his fight. And I just kind of talked to him, and I told him about his skills, this, blah, 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 whatever. But what I saw was when he started warming up, I could tell that he feels like he's in a different place now, a different space. Yeah. Because before, he was trying to get the big fights, couldn't get them, this, that, and the other, and all the back and forth, and Canelo saying this and selling that. But he knew if he won that fight in DC at that time, that the rest of it would move as it has. And he knew it, and that was his opening spot. So just the dedication and the way he was. And, he's used to being in locker rooms by himself.
Yeah.
But this time, there was regular fighters all around him, like at a club show. There's a fighter here, fighter here, fighter here, fighter here, all in one room, all getting wrapped up and this and that, and all the back and forth and, this back. He's used to a room by himself, but he wasn't in a room by himself. He was in there with the common folk, if you will, the ones who don't, they're good fighters, but they don't get a room on there by themselves yet.
Right.
And he was just as gracious. And I believe he realized that, I could be here on a regular basis. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity. And when he came to the ring, he was excellent in that fight that night. So I saw the beginning there.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. And then there's going to be a lot of boxing in the new year. I mean, for sure. We got the Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. Usyk is fighting. Okay. Yeah.
Everybody's saying, Fury is old. He's going to go back on drugs. He's going to, he's through. Man, Fury had no motivation whatsoever for the previous fight with the MMA guy, who we don't need to even mention his name. But with the fight with Usyk, he'll be at his very best because you got legacy on the line. Money doesn't mean anything. He's about legacy. And he needed someone to motivate him. what we're going to see is probably the best Fury ever. Not only will he be bigger and stronger, but he'll be just as fast as Usyk will be. And then he'll get opportunities to lay on Usyk. Usyk is not going to knock him out or knock him down. That's not going to happen. He can take punches and lay on Usyk. I think that girth, that weight, and the hand speed will really prevail.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, I think this is a tactic that a lot of times fighters use. They come out and they do a performance and they make sure that they win, but that the performance doesn't look so good. So they can get these big fights. And now here he is with Usyk. He's got the fight with Usyk. That's the fight to be made. It's made. It's happening in February. It's awesome. It's awesome. And I think, I'm not saying that Shakur's performance the other night was a carbon copy of that notion. But I will say,
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I will say that if Shakur, felt that his performance was a little lackluster, or he did that on purpose, so he could get a big fight, because people don't want to fight him, man. People don't want to fight Shakur.
That performance last evening was excellent. If you're a purist and you see the two styles, and you realize what could happen with those two styles match, then who has the best style in that style?
Right.
And because they both were counterpunchers, Shakur had the better jab, and he won simply because his jab was placed, and he won rounds with it.
Right.
He fought as he had to do to win the fight. But if you're a purist, you are just more of a fan of Shakur. You are. You have to be, because you see how he took a situation and he had to win the fight.
Right.
And he had to do what he had to do to win the fight.
Right.
All the angles was off, everything was off, and he did it anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I can't not agree with that. I mean, I can't. The only thing I'm saying is that Shakur needs a big fight. He really does. I mean, he needs like a fight like Haney Prograis, like that kind of a fight. Something that will put him, that will lift him up to a higher level, that next level, He's
gonna make any other fight he fight look like a stinker. Period.
Okay.
He'll win the fight. The other guy look horrible, and he'll lose some market share, as far as the opponents want to mess with him with the everybody wants to watch. So his style is just so it drains the other person's style to the point where then say, well, I don't want to see him see him fight. I mean, Shakur act like it was nothing and just beat him.
Yeah.
But it was just the style was such that his own style couldn't shine through and keep him on the forefront of people's minds. Shakur would take that from you, and that's the big problem. Why no one wants to touch him. They're not necessarily scared of his power, that they're going to get knocked out. That's not really it. It's that they can go 12 and look stupid the whole time. And then when they're trying to get their next fight, they can't get one because they got dragged by Shakur on points and went the distance.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you've been on the Shakur Stevenson bandwagon from the get-go. You've always loved Shakur. Every time you're on the broadcast, everybody that listens to the broadcast knows how much you love Shakur Stevenson.
It's just that the elements that he has, he perfects every element he needs to. Yeah. And one element he needed to was, I can't fight, I can't hit him, I can't knock him out, I can't be aggressive, I can't dominate like that, but the only way I can win this fight is I got to out-jab him and land the jabs. Right. He did it. Yeah. Even though it was boring to people's eyes or whatever, he still had the wherewithal and the skill process and the skill set to still do what he had to do to win the fight. So the judge is saying he scored more per round than his opponent, therefore he won most of the rounds. That's that. He's the champion. His next fight may be what we want to see, but he still did what he needed to do. And you can do nothing but be impressed with that. You can. And then De Los Santos, you can't be angry with him either. That he let down. He was in the best shape of his life. His style was just bettered by someone who had the same style, who could land that jab at will. After a while, it was at will. Yeah. Mark, it was beautiful. He was just he was going for the face, and he was hitting clean with a nice jab. I mean, that was worth seeing. Maybe you only saw 1 or 2 jabs per round, but they were so clean. He set them up so nicely. When they came, you're like, oh, that's nice.
Right.
You may have saw 1 or 2, but they were nice and they scored. And you could see how he set them up and how he got out of the way after he landed the jab.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great performance from my eyes.
Yeah. No, I would imagine that any performance Shakur delivers
No.
is going to be going to be perfect
from a
your
judge
eyes.
standpoint. Whether I'm a judge or not, the judges say he won the rounds. He won the fight.
Listen,
right?
If Shakur's fighting, I'm gonna petition that you don't fight. I mean that you don't score that one.
Okay.
You love that guy.
I'll probably never score him, but I'm just saying.
Oh, you probably will. You probably will, Mr. Harold.
I don't know, because if they see something like this and they choose judges, they're gonna see me being a cheerleader for him. They're not gonna choose me.
Yeah, you gotta recruit yourself. That's all. You gotta recruit yourself. You know?
So I'll never get the opportunity. Just on this medium here right now, I will never get a chance to judge him. I won't.
Right. You'll take it to the grave. Out here,
me loving on him. So it's all good. But hey, he's a good fighter in my mind. I don't think anyone beats him.
Yeah. All right. Let me share with you my top 10 before we end the night. Okay.
Okay.
I got who you got for your top 10? Give me a top 10, or give me a top 2, top 3, top 4, pound for pound. Pound for pound, baby.
Pound for pound.
There you go.
Okay. For me, the number 1 pound for pound fighter, Canelo showed me a little weakness, whereas his feet don't move as well as they should, like they have anymore, but upper body, and he's able to get in position. So he loses the top spot for me. Top spot goes to Inoue, because Inoue is still in his prime, and he still moves just so beautifully top to bottom. Okay. It's not really a fall off, but he's using all of the elements of his skill set at the time. Canelo is not using all the elements because he's already past the leg part, and now the legs are not as they were, but the rest of it still dominates.
Oh, yeah.
And he just moves well enough to continue to stay there. So if you want to say pound for pound, skill for skill, and everything is on the click, everything's clicking, I have to say Inoue.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take that. I mean, I don't know if you guys are agreeing with Mr. Harold Hunt, but I'm gonna go with Terrence Crawford. I'm gonna go with Terrence Crawford, and I'll give Inoue number 2 spot in my book. You know, that's I'm going Terrence Crawford, Inoue. I don't know, maybe Juan Francisco Estrada. Yeah, junior bantamweight.
People may want to shoot me for not putting Bud at 1 or 2. The reason I already put Bud at 1 or 2 is because Bud is a counterpuncher to a point.
Right.
You got to come to him. He's going to take you out. Okay, that's fine. Pound for pound is I'm going to go get you from the jump. I'm going to go get you. And that's why, in a way, is the first point for me, because Bud doesn't necessarily just go get you. He's going to just see what you got. And then when you try to get aggressive, then he goes get you. He's just not coming to get you off the rip. So for my taste, I see in a way, because he comes to get you off the jump. Canelo doesn't come to get you off the jump, and Bud doesn't come to get you off the jump.
Right.
That's the only reason why he's 3 and Canelo's 2, and in a way is 1. Right. Simple. I hope people can understand that.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, it's just a play for play, pound for pound. We all have our pound for pound list, right? So what's pound for pound, right?
Every pound of Inoue is coming to get you. Yeah. Every pound is coming to get you.
I got to put Usyk up there too. I mean, I got to give Usyk some love too. I mean, he hasn't, in the heavyweight division, he's definitely going to be up on my list for pound for sure.
Yes. Yeah. You said 2 in my mind. Those are 2. And of course, all those guys are involved in it. But Usyk doesn't come to get you either. Yeah.
I'm going to give Teofimo Lopez, I'm going to put him on my pound for pound list, my top 10.
He comes to get you. He comes
to get you. Yeah, he does. And, Arthur Beterbiev is up in there too. Saul Canelo. I'll take Canelo.
Such a hard list. You said top 2, and I had to come with those two. I had to.
Yeah.
I had to.
No, I get it. And top spot in the heavyweight division, you got to go with Alexander Usyk, right? You got to give him the top spot. And then
I
Fury.
give it to Fury.
Oh, you give it to Fury?
Fury gets a top spot. A man that big, that agile, moves that well, that smart, understands the whole thing. And when he's motivated, and then look what he overcame. Suicide thoughts, drug addiction, all of that.
Yeah.
You know the mental capacity you have to do that and be on a successful level as he is. And now the world saying, oh, you're going to regress. Right. But man, his motivation is off the hook. We're going to see the best.
Right.
We're going to see the best of him.
Right. So what's up with, in the junior lightweight division, I don't think Shakur is even in that division anymore, right?
Yeah, he's at 135. He's got this belt here.
Yeah.
He's going to try to see if he can put the undisputed thing with, become undisputed with, not undisputed, what is it? Whatever champ.
Lineal. Right?
No. Unified. Excuse me, sir. Unified.
Well,
unified. He was unified with somebody. Who has the other 35-pound title?
Devin Haney?
No, right? Haney's at 40. Haney went to he went to 40 to fight Progress, but yet he can still come down and defend one of those belts.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not.
According to Shakur, he said he left. He know he couldn't beat me, so he left. He went to 140.
Gervonta Davis.
Yes. That BA. He's got the BA.
George Kambosos, I think, right?
Right. Yeah. He'll beat Kambosos. That'd be a good fight, though, because Kambosos is going to be coming forward. Oh, I would love to see that.
Which one?
That's counterpunch. Kambosos and our man Stevenson. That would be nice to see because he's coming and Shakur is Stevenson is countering.
That's made for Stevenson.
Yes, but
that's actually a good
that's
one.
Going to be. Yeah, right. The visuals are going to be just smashing. I mean, the hook coming clean and this and that, and Kambosos not going anywhere. Oh, it's going to be very nice to see.
Yeah, for Shakur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Totally get it.
For the fans too, because they're going to see Kambosos can take a punch now.
No, Kambosos is he's not. Look, he proved himself. We know Kambosos can fight. We know Kambosos is in there, man. He's viable.
He's just going to get landed on more and lose the fight if he's not knocked out.
Doesn't have too many. He doesn't have too many paragraphs in his story. That's all. He just doesn't have the kind of paragraphs that like a Vasily Lomenchencko has. Vasily Lomenchencko has so many paragraphs in his story. Gervonta Davis has so many paragraphs in his story.
He does.
Shakur. They got these guys, Isaac Pitbull Cruz. They have passages. They have, George Kambosos just doesn't have that. He doesn't have that.
Australia.
Yeah, he's from Australia. People don't really know. They don't know him like that. They do know that he was a sleeper cell and he came out and he just dominated and people woke up the next day like it was a Buster Douglas moment. Like, what? He won the belt? What? So yeah. But
like McGregor says, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
Beep it out.
Yeah, I'll beep it out.
Hey, my apologies. But hey, we're looking to see, if he continued that beautiful streak he's been going back to our earlier conversation. I really think he's a talented fighter, and I look forward to his work going forward, man.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be a nice end of 2023 and a nice beginning of 2024 for sure. So with that being said, Mr. Harold Hunt, it is time to say goodbye.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, good night, you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Yeah. And I hope you enjoyed our situation with Lopez's career. That was fun. It was fun, Mark.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun to be with you, and it's always great to have you all listening in on the Boxing Breakdown. And don't forget, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook at The Boxing Breakdown. And if you're listening to us on YouTube or watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe down below. and smash that notification button so that you know when we're going live. And we want to thank you for being with us. And until next time, see you on the next episode of the Boxing Breakdown. Peace and love. Out.
See you next time.
Yes, you will. Thanks, Harold.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxey and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxey.